everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You know, we love exploring these ideas together.
Yeah, definitely. And today we're tackling something super relevant, I think, for a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
Turning your knowledge into a profitable online business.
It's exciting, right? We've got this mountain of sources, some really fascinating pasted text.
Lots to unpack for sure.
But that's the fun part, right? Our mission is to uncover those actionable strategies, the ones that you can actually use to build something incredible.
I love that actionable is key.
Totally. And of course, we'll sprinkle in some real-world examples to inspire you along the way.
Sounds like a plan.
So let's jump right in. What I find fascinating is how much knowledge people have just sitting there untapped.
It's true. Like a hidden treasure just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. We all have that expertise, something we're passionate about, something we excel at. But the question is, how do we turn that into a thriving online business? Where do we even start?
Right. It can feel overwhelming for sure. One source really emphasized the importance of niching down.
Niching down. Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that mean exactly?
It's about finding that sweet spot where your expertise intersects with a hungry audience. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, focus on a specific area where your knowledge is truly valuable.
Makes sense. So let's say I'm a whiz at social media marketing specifically for food bloggers. Could that be my niche?
Absolutely. You got a clearly defined audience, food bloggers, and a specific problem you can solve mastering social media. But here's where things get really interesting. It's not enough to just have the knowledge.
Oh, there's more to it.
You need to validate your idea. Make sure there's actually a demand for what you're offering before you invest a ton of time and energy building something nobody wants.
Good point. I wouldn't want to create an amazing course only to find out no one's interested. But how do we test the waters without diving headfirst into product development?
One source shared this great story about a watercolor enthusiast who wanted to create an online course on watercolor techniques. Instead of spending months building the entire course, they started with a simple experiment.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
They reached out to their network and asked if anyone would be interested in a basic watercolor workshop. It was a low-key way to gauge interest and gather feedback.
That's smart. Kind of like dipping your toes in the pool before jumping in the deep end.
Exactly. They got invaluable insights into what people were struggling with, what they were eager to learn, and even how much they were willing to pay for a workshop.
Wow. So they essentially validated their idea before investing tons of time and money.
Precisely. And it aligns with the whole lean startup philosophy, which is all about testing assumptions early on and adapting as needed.
This brings up another point that I think trips a lot of people up, the myth of needing a massive audience to be successful online.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. One source actually highlighted the surprisingly low conversion rates of mass marketing, especially when you're just starting out.
So it's not just about shouting your message from the rooftops and hoping someone hears it?
Not at all. They talked about individual marketing. Instead, building genuine connections with people who are genuinely interested in what you have to offer.
Interesting. So instead of blasting out generic ads to thousands of people, it's more about having those one-on-one conversations.
Exactly. Think about it. Are you more likely to buy from a faceless corporation or from a friend who genuinely believes in what they're selling?
A friend, definitely. I see your point. It's about building trust and those authentic relationships.
Exactly. And even if someone in your network isn't personally interested, they might know someone who is. Don't underestimate the power of those warm referrals.
I love that approach. It feels so much more natural and less pushy.
Absolutely. Now, as you start cultivating those connections, it's essential to think about your brand identity. It's how you present yourself and your expertise to the world.
This is where things start to feel a bit overwhelming for me. Branding always seemed so, I don't know, abstract.
I hear you. It can seem a bit vague. But think of it as a promise. What transformation are you offering your audience? What problem are you solving? And what meaningful goal are you helping them achieve?
Okay, so for my Instagram for food bloggers example, I'm essentially promising to help them grow their audience, increase engagement, and ultimately land those lucrative brand deals. Is that on the right track?
Spot on. And the way you communicate that promise, both visually and through your messaging, is what shapes your brand identity.
So it's not just about having a cool logo or a fancy website. It's about the overall feeling you convey.
Exactly. Think about the colors you use, the fonts, the tone of your writing. It all contributes to the experience you're creating.
Okay, this is making much more sense now. It's about crafting a cohesive experience that reflects the value I offer.
You got it. And once you have that solid brand foundation, you can start building your content ecosystem. This is where you showcase your expertise and build trust with your audience.
So we're talking about creating those blog posts, social media updates, videos, maybe even a podcast.
Exactly. But one source had a great tip for those just starting out. Instead of trying to be everywhere at once, focus on one short-form platform and one long-form platform.
Okay, that's a relief. I was starting to feel a bit overwhelmed just thinking about managing all those different platforms. But why those two specifically?
They recommended X for those short, punchy insights, and a newsletter for building those deeper relationships.
Interesting. So X is kind of like your headline platform, and the newsletter is where you dive deeper.
Precisely. And this ties into the concept of time under attention that kept popping up in the sources.
Time under attention. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's basically the idea that the more time your audience spends engaging with your content, the more connected they become to your brand. Familiarity breeds trust.
So it's not just about creating one viral post and then disappearing. It's about consistently showing up and providing value.
Exactly. And they even use James Clear as an example, author of Atomic Habits. His work is so widely recognized that even when others share similar ideas, his name still carries that weight.
That's incredible. It really shows the power of consistently delivering high-quality content and building a recognizable brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And once you've established your brand and started building that content ecosystem, it's time to think about packaging your knowledge into a tangible product that people can buy.
This is where things get really exciting. My entrepreneurial gears are definitely turning. But where do we even begin?
One source suggested using a framework called meaningful goal achievement to define your product. Remember that goal we talked about earlier, the one your audience desires. What specific steps and knowledge are required to get there?
Okay, so in my Instagram for food bloggers example, I break down the entire process of creating a successful Instagram strategy. Everything from crafting a captivating bio to developing a consistent posting schedule to engaging with followers and attracting those brand deals.
Exactly. And what's that unique system you can offer to guide them through that process?
That's a great question. I suppose I could create a step-by-step framework, sort of blueprint for success.
It's a great start. And one source even suggested coming up with a memorable name for your system, something like the 2-hour content ecosystem or the executive training system.
I love that. It not only makes it easy to remember, but it also positions your product as a unique solution.
Now, with a clearly defined product and a strong brand identity, it's time to shift gears and think about how to promote it effectively.
Marketing always feels a bit daunting to me. Any tips on how to approach it strategically?
One source boiled it down to a simple yet powerful concept transformation. They argue that people don't buy features, they buy outcomes. They buy the promise of a better version of themselves.
So instead of just listing the features of my Instagram course, I should focus on the transformation it can provide.
Exactly. Highlight the burning problem food bloggers face, the desirable outcome they crave, more followers, engagement, brand deals, and your clear solution, your step-by-step system.
That's a great framework. It feels much more compelling and speaks directly to the aspirations of my target audience.
And as you craft your marketing messages, remember to be clear, concise, and avoid overwhelming people with jargon. Your goal is to capture attention and persuade them to take action.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground already, from identifying a profitable niche to crafting a compelling brand identity, building a content ecosystem, and even dipping our toes into the world of product creation and marketing. I'm already feeling more confident and empowered to turn my knowledge into a thriving online business.
It's amazing what we can uncover when we dive deep into these valuable resources.
Yeah.
And there's so much more to explore.
I can't wait to see what other gems we uncover in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back. As we dive deeper into these sources, one theme that really stands out to me is the power of problem solving.
It makes sense, right? At its core, every successful business solves a problem for its audience. But it's not just about identifying surface-level issues, right?
Right. Several sources emphasize the importance of digging deeper, getting to the emotional core of what drives people, the underlying needs and desires.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we tap into those deeper motivations?
Ask yourself, what keeps my ideal customer up at night? What are their biggest fears and frustrations? What are they desperately searching for a solution to?
I see. It's not just about offering a quick fix. It's about addressing those deeper anxieties or aspirations that really drive behavior.
Absolutely. Like if you're targeting new parents struggling with sleep deprivation, you wouldn't just offer a sleep training schedule. You'd acknowledge the exhaustion, the fear, the feeling of being overwhelmed, and reassure them that there's a path to peaceful nights for everyone.
That's so true. It's about creating that emotional connection and showing them that you understand their struggles.
One source even talked about outlining the exact steps people need to take to achieve that desired outcome.
Mm.
Clarity and specificity can be incredibly powerful in building trust and encouraging action.
It's like providing a roadmap to success, eliminating the guesswork. But how do we strike that balance between being helpful and overwhelming them with too much information?
It's about breaking down complex processes into manageable steps and presenting them in a way that feels both comprehensive and empowering. Not too much, not too little.
Yeah. This brings to mind another crucial point, testing those ideas before diving headfirst into product development. Have you ever had a moment where you had to pivot or adjust your approach based on feedback or unexpected results?
Oh, definitely. Early in my career, I was convinced that a comprehensive online course was the way to go. I spent months, maybe even years, crafting this elaborate curriculum.
Wow, that's a lot of dedication.
It was. But then I realized it just wasn't resonating with my audience. It was a tough pill to swallow.
That must have been disheartening after all that effort. What did you do?
I had to step back and admit I'd made some assumptions without really validating them. I went back to basics, started offering smaller, more focused workshops to test different ideas and teaching styles.
That's a great example of embracing the fail fast mentality. It takes courage to let go of a cherished idea and adjust course.
It does, but those smaller workshops were a game changer. The direct feedback I got helped me refine my content and tailor it to what people actually wanted and needed.
It's amazing how those live interactions can provide insights that you wouldn't get from just launching a pre-recorded course. It's like a constant feedback loop.
Exactly. It reinforced the importance of starting small, experimenting, and iterating your way to success. Don't be afraid to try things out, and don't be afraid to pivot if something isn't working.
This brings us back to the fear of needing a massive audience to succeed, which we talked about earlier. One source really emphasized the effectiveness of individual marketing, focusing on those genuine connections within your existing network. But what if you're just starting out and don't have a huge following?
It's all about building relationships one person at a time. It's not about broadcasting your message to the masses. It's about having those meaningful conversations with individuals who might benefit from what you have to offer.
So it's about nurturing genuine connections and providing value within your sphere of influence rather than getting caught up in those vanity metrics.
Exactly. And remember, even if someone isn't directly interested in your offer, they might know someone who is. Word of mouth is incredibly powerful.
It's like planting seeds, you never know where they might sprout. But how do we approach those conversations without feeling pushy or salesy? It's a fine line to walk.
Authenticity is key. Focus on understanding their challenges, offering insights that might be helpful, even if it doesn't directly lead to a sale.
So it's about shifting from a transactional mindset to a relationship building approach. It's about providing value up front and trust will follow.
Exactly. And as you consistently show up, deliver value, and demonstrate your expertise, those relationships will naturally transform into opportunities.
Speaking of trust, one source really emphasized how crucial it is for people to know, like, and trust you before they buy from you. But in the online world where those personal interactions are limited, how do we cultivate that trust factor?
Transparency is huge.
Reason.
Be open about your journey, your struggles, your wins. Share behind-the-scenes glimpses, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
It's about being real, right? Showing that you're a human being, not just some polished online persona.
Exactly. And building trust takes time. It's about showing up, consistently delivering valuable content, and engaging in authentic conversations. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Those long-term relationships are worth the effort. But how do we scale our efforts without burning ourselves out? One source delved into the world of automation, specifically distinguishing between product automation and marketing automation.
Ah, yes, that's a key distinction. Product automation is about creating things that can be delivered without your direct involvement. Think online courses, ebooks, templates, even software.
So it's about packaging your knowledge in a way that can reach a wider audience without requiring your constant presence.
Exactly. And then there's marketing automation, which is all about streamlining those repetitive tasks that can eat up so much time, like email sequences, social media scheduling, sales funnels.
So instead of manually sending out hundreds of emails or scheduling posts, you can automate those processes and free up your time for more strategic tasks.
Precisely. But one source cautioned against jumping into automation too soon. They emphasize that the foundation is a valuable product that delivers on its promises. Only then should you consider automating the marketing efforts.
That makes sense. It's like building a house. You wouldn't automate the roof installation before you've laid the foundation.
Great analogy.
Oh, okay.
But once you have that solid base, Automation can be a game changer. It frees up your time and energy so you can focus on growing your business, creating new offerings, and ultimately designing a lifestyle that you love.
It's about working smarter, not harder, and ultimately building a business that gives you the freedom and flexibility to pursue your passions.
Now, as you start thinking about scaling your business and incorporating automation, it's crucial to remember that marketing is not about manipulation or trickery. It's about serving your audience.
We touched on this before, right? Focusing on those deeper needs and desires rather than just pushing products.
Right. One source put it beautifully. They said that people don't buy features, they buy benefits. They buy the transformation that your product or service promises to deliver.
So instead of listing the features of my course, I'd highlight how it will help them achieve their goals, become more confident, and ultimately live a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. They even provided a simple framework for crafting those compelling marketing messages. Highlight the problem, paint a picture of the desired outcome, and present your product as the bridge between the two.
It's like storytelling, right? You're taking them on a journey from their current pain to their desired future.
And remember to tailor your message to your audience's level of awareness. If they're brand new, keep it simple. If they're more advanced, you can dive into the specifics.
It's about meeting them where they are and guiding them along the path.
And always remember, the most effective marketing comes from a place of genuine service. Focus on providing value, building trust, and nurturing those relationships. That's how you treat a business that thrives in the long run.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much from problem solving to testing, building trust, and even exploring the world of automation. It's clear that building a successful online business is a multifaceted journey.
It's about blending strategy with heart. And as we continue exploring, we'll uncover even more valuable insights to guide you along the way.
We're back for our final deep dive into this topic. I'm really excited to uncover those last few gems you mentioned.
Me too. There's some good stuff in here.
You know, as we wrap up our exploration, one thing that keeps swirling around in my mind is this idea of mental monetization. I've heard the term, but I'm not sure I fully grasp it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it? But it's a powerful concept. It's about packaging your personal growth,
Yeah.
your experiences, your unique perspective into a product or service that can help others.
So it's more than just selling information. It's about sharing the journey, the mindset shifts, the aha moments that have shaped who you are today.
Exactly. One source described it as creating a digital character, an extension of yourself that attracts the right audience. What goal can you help others achieve? What problem do you uniquely solve? What are your special interests or skills?
So instead of just saying, I teach Instagram marketing, I could imply a goal like build a thriving food blog and land those dream brand deals. The problem I solve is helping food bloggers stand out in a crowded online world. And my unique skill set comes from my own experience as a food blogger who cracked the Instagram code.
That's a great way to frame it. It goes beyond just listing services and speaks to those deeper desires. It's about the transformation you offer.
And this doesn't have to be a cheesy tagline, right? It can be woven into everything, my website, copy, social media posts, even the visual design of my brand.
Precisely. It's about creating a cohesive experience that embodies your unique value.
This brings me to content creation. How do we ensure that our content truly reflects our mindset and skill set, as one source put it?
That source offered a really helpful framework. It starts with your core beliefs, the fundamental principles that guide your life. Then consider your interests and skills, what makes you you. And finally, what foundational knowledge do people need in order to get there?
Okay, so let's say one of my core beliefs is that anyone can build a successful online business with the right knowledge and strategy. My interests and skills include things like social media content creation and community building. And the foundational knowledge I'd share would be things like niching down, crafting a compelling brand, creating engaging content.
You got it. And when you create content from that framework, it's infused with your personal experience, your unique perspective, and those valuable lessons you've learned along the way.
It's about sharing your journey, the good, the bad, and the ugly, not just presenting yourself as some perfect expert.
Authenticity is key. And another thing to keep in mind is the importance of clear writing. Don't try to sound overly expert by using jargon or complicated language. Keep it simple, conversational, and accessible.
It's like that saying, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
Right, exactly. All right, so we've got a solid brand. We're creating killer content. Now, how do we package all this goodness into a product that people will actually buy?
That's the million-dollar question.
Remember that meaningful goal achievement framework we talked about earlier? It applies here too. What goal did you achieve that your audience also wants to achieve? What were the steps you took? What knowledge was essential?
So in my case, it would be creating that step-by-step system for mastering Instagram as a food blogger,
Yeah.
sharing the exact strategies I use to grow my audience, increase engagement, and attract brands.
Perfect. And to make your product even more appealing, consider giving it a catchy name. Something like the Food Blogger's Instagram Blueprint or the Insta-Delicious Growth System.
I love those. It instantly elevates it beyond just a generic course. It sounds like a unique must-have solution.
Exactly. Now we've got a solid product, a strong brand. It's time to think about promotion. How do we get this out into the world?
Marketing can feel a bit overwhelming, especially when you're first starting out. Where do we even begin?
One source emphasized the power of transformation. Remember, people don't buy features, they buy benefits. They buy the promise of a better version of themselves.
So it's about painting a vivid picture of how their life will be better after using my product.
Precisely. And they suggested a simple but effective framework. Start by highlighting the burning problem, then paint a picture of the desired outcome. And finally, position your product or service as the bridge between the two.
It's all about storytelling, taking them on that journey from where they are to where they want to be.
And when crafting your marketing messages, remember to be clear, concise, and avoid overwhelming them with jargon or too many details.
Keep it simple and focus on the transformation. Got it.
Exactly. And as always, be mindful of their level of awareness. Meet them where they are and guide them along the path.
This has been an incredible journey. We've explored so much from finding our niche and building a brand to creating content, developing a product, and mastering marketing. But beyond the strategies and tactics, one key takeaway stands out to me.
I'm curious. What's that?
Building a successful online business is a journey of self-discovery. It's about uncovering those unique gifts, honing our skills, and sharing our knowledge with the world in a way that both fulfills us and helps others.
Beautifully said. I couldn't agree more. It's challenging for sure, but the rewards are immense.
So, to everyone listening, here's a final thought-provoking question. What knowledge do you possess that could be transformed into a thriving business? And what's one small step you can take today to explore that possibility?
It's a question worth pondering. Remember, even the longest journey begins with a single step.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.